Tell your niece to stay out of the pool, Judge, before someone else puts her there. That's how she greeted me that afternoon. No hello, no small talk. Just a threat wrapped in a fake smile. 10 minutes later, she made good on it. Denise Caldwell, the almighty president of our HOA, shoved my 15-year-old niece into the deep end of the community pool. The splash was so loud it silenced everything else. For a few seconds, time just stopped. The laughter, the sprinklers, the sound of kids playing gone. All I saw was Lily's arms thrashing under the blue surface before she came up coughing, terrified, humiliated. Denise didn't move. She didn't even blink. She just folded her arms under her sun hat and said loud enough for everyone to hear. She was violating pool conduct. We have decorum rules here. I knelt beside Lily, helped her out of the water, and asked Denise, "Show me where in the bylaws that rule exists." Her smug little smile faltered. "It's under review," she muttered. I stood up, my sleeve dripping. That's not how law works. Every phone around us was already raised. People were filming. Denise tried to bark orders. "Everyone back to your seats, this is a private board event," but no one listened. So I told her calmly, "My name's Marcus Ellery, federal judge, 20 years in property law, and you just assaulted a minor under an invalid charter." That word invalid hit her like a slap. She blinked, turned pale. I helped Lily to the bench near the fence, wrapped her in a towel, and whispered, "You're okay." But she wasn't. She'd lost her mom 6 months earlier, and this was her first day back at that pool. It was supposed to be healing. Instead, it became another scar. We walked home in silence. Her sandals squished against the sidewalk, her towel dragging like a white flag. I wanted to turn around to yell, to do something, anything, but I've spent my life in courtrooms where emotion costs more than it helps. So I swallowed it. That night I stood in my hallway staring at a violation notice still taped to my door. Grass height exceeds HOA standards. Signed, of course, by Denise Caldwell, same woman who'd just pushed a grieving teenager into a pool. I logged into the community's resident portal trying to find the HOA's rules. Half the links were broken. The policy updates page showed a 404 error. The bylaws tab, password protected members only. I checked the Florida State Registry. The HOA's corporate filing was expired, 3 months overdue, which meant legally the HOA no longer existed. They could send letters, collect dues, play pretend, but they had no enforcement power. Denise Caldwell wasn't a president. She was a woman running a ghost government from her patio. Still, I didn't act right away. Part of me wanted to let it go to protect Lily, to avoid becoming the story. But that night when I heard her crying upstairs, whispering to her mom who wasn't there, something in me snapped back into place. I'd seen tyranny before, big and small. I just never expected it to live behind a white picket fence. The next morning I printed the state's inactive status notice and pinned it right next to the HOA's golden sign at the neighborhood gate. Maplewood Estates, a community of excellence. I thought the irony might sting. By lunch the notice was gone, but that was fine, I had copies. That evening there was a knock at my door. It was Peter Holston, the HOA treasurer. A nervous man with kind eyes and a bottle of sweet tea sweating in his hand. "Didn't mean to bother you," he said, voice low. "Rough day yesterday, huh?" He hesitated before blurting, "I didn't vote for it. The sanctions, the suspensions. Denise, she does things her own way." He opened a manila folder and slid out a printed email. It was from the management company, dated 4 months ago, a reminder that the HOA's registration was overdue. Denise had said she'd handle it. She hadn't. "She told us not to mention it," Peter whispered, "especially not to you." I stared at the email, then at him. "You realize what this means?" He nodded slowly. "I do. And I can't keep pretending this is okay." He left the paper on my table. "She crossed a line," he said. That was the first time I saw fear on someone else's face, not mine. The next morning another violation appeared on my door, this time. Behavioral breach. Suspended access to all amenities. Immediate effect. No board signatures, just Denise's. It even accused me of threatening a board member. I almost laughed. I'd seen criminals with better paperwork. Lily came downstairs as I folded the letter. She didn't ask about it, just grabbed her backpack and whispered, "You'll be here when I get back, I will," I said. After she left, I opened my laptop and read through Florida HOA law again, line by line, without an active corporate filing. Every citation, fine, or suspension was legally void, meaning all her threats were smoke. I could end this if I wanted to. By noon, I got another knock. Same tea bottle, same nervous man. Peter again. Most of us didn't know he said. But we do now. Denise said it's just a clerical delay, but then she told us not to talk about it. That's when I realized she's scared. He handed me another sheet, an email from Denise asking the board to remain silent until the issue is resolved. Then he whispered, "She's planning to file a restraining order against you. Claims you threatened her at the mailbox." I laughed once sharp. "I haven't spoken to her since the pool," I know he said. "But she's calling an emergency vote tonight. You should be there." Before he left, he pulled something from his pocket, a flash drive. Security footage from the pool. I told her I needed it for maintenance. I kept a copy. My throat tightened. "Does it show?" He nodded. "Everything." That evening I walked into the clubhouse early. Rows of folding chairs, name tags lined up like courtroom placards. Denise stood behind the board table, flipping through papers, pretending this was order, not chaos. She looked up the moment she saw me. "This meeting is for board members only." "I'm here to observe," I said. "You're not a resident in good standing. You're not a board with legal standing." Her lips twitched. "Sit quietly or you'll be escorted out." So I sat. Peter arrived next, followed by 3 other board members. Denise called the meeting to order, voice brittle but loud. She started talking about recent hostility, dangerous misinformation, and protecting the integrity of the community. Then she passed out a printed motion. Approval to retain legal counsel and file a restraining order against a resident and his dependent. That was it, the line. Peter raised his hand. "I move to table this motion pending legal review of our standing." Denise blinked. "Excuse me," he repeated himself. "We've received credible documentation that the HOA's corporate status is inactive. Any action taken right now is unenforceable." The room shifted. One man looked confused. Another leaned forward. Denise's voice cracked. "We are not discussing that right now." Peter slid the printouts across the table. "We are now. And for the record, I'm submitting this letter from Judge Marcus Ellery, citing the Department of Business and Professional Regulation report and 2 state precedents." She turned pale. "This is insubordination." "No," Peter said softly. "This is transparency." I stood up. "You've issued illegal fines, threatened residents, and assaulted a minor, and now you've tried to weaponize fear to silence me. But your power, it doesn't exist." I pulled the flash drive from my pocket and placed it on the table. "There's video, audio, witnesses. You can deny the law, Denise, but not gravity. You pushed a kid." Gasps rippled through the room. Denise froze. Someone whispered, "Is that true?" Peter looked around. "I second the motion to table." 2 others raised their hands. "Aye." Only Denise voted no. And just like that, her little kingdom cracked. She gathered her papers, hands trembling, and walked out the back door without a word. The silence she left behind was heavier than any gavel I'd ever struck. That night I drafted my next move, a formal cease and desist notice citing the HOA's expired corporate status and every invalid citation they'd issued. I included the statute's case precedents and a line that read, "Any further enforcement actions under color of HOA authority will be met with injunctive relief in court." I sent it to the board. Denise's email didn't bounce, which meant she read it. The next morning my lavender bush was gone, ripped out at the roots. Dirt exposed like a wound. I stood there staring at the empty patch of soil, and for the first time in years I felt powerless. Maybe this wasn't worth it. Maybe I should have just let it go. Lily didn't need a war, she needed peace. But then I remembered her mother's words. "Water doesn't judge you, sweetheart. It just shows you who you are." And right then I saw who I was, not a man picking fights, but a man who refused to let fear run a neighborhood. 5 days later I stood in a small county courtroom. No grand stage, just 2 tables, a weary judge, and truth on a flash drive. Denise arrived late, pale and shaking. The judge read the case summary. I laid out the facts, the expired filings, the fake citations, the harassment, the video. When the footage played, no one breathed. The push was clear. Lily's cry echoed off the courtroom walls. The judge turned to Denise. "Do you dispute this video?" She swallowed hard. That child was non-compliant. "Answer the question." "No," she whispered. The judge sighed. "Then this court finds sufficient cause to issue a temporary injunction against the Maplewood Estates HOA. Any further enforcement actions are suspended pending legal reinstatement. And Ms. Caldwell, any attempt to intimidate residents will be treated as harassment and referred for criminal review." The gavel fell, one sharp crack, and just like that the silence broke. Denise didn't say a word as she left. She didn't look back. 2 weeks later, the Maplewood sign came down. The gold letters, "A Peaceful Place to Belong," were replaced with a plywood board that read, "Special Election Pending." Peter stopped by with Sarah, the former secretary, and another board member named Ron. They handed me a draft of new bylaws, open records, biannual audits, no closed-door meetings, transparency written in black and white. Before leaving, Peter gave me a small metal plaque. The engraving was simple. Marcus Ellery Pavilion. For the day, the silence broke. They mounted it beside the same bench where Lily had sat wrapped in her towel weeks earlier. I went back to the pool that evening. The water was calm, almost silver under the late sun. Lily stood at the edge, towel over her shoulder, hesitating. No whistles, no clipboard, no stairs, just air, clean and quiet. "I think I'm going to swim," she said. "Go ahead," I whispered. She dove in smooth, graceful, fearless this time. When she surfaced, she looked around, saw no one watching, and smiled. I didn't cheer. I just sat there watching her reclaim what was hers. The bench plaque glimmered beside me. Because in the end, that's all justice really is, not revenge, not power. Just the moment someone finally feels safe enough to breathe again.